How to reshape your identity. Of course, as we understand, it's drastically important to reshape your identity if currently the way that you see yourself isn't as the person that you need to be in order to actually accomplish your goals, in order to actually manifest your version of success. Because if you're seeing yourself as a lazy person, and you know that in order to get to your goals, you need to not be lazy. You need to be a hustler. You need to be a go-getter. You need to be a big stepper, big foot brother, hot like pepper, and I'm top five, but the other four ain't better type shit. Yeah? Some bars. By the way, you can check out my music by hitting the link in the description and stuff. But anyways, yeah. In order to reshape your identity, I'm gonna give you some steps that you can follow. Number one is you first need to identify what do you want and what kind of person do you need to be in order to actually get that thing. The version of you that has those things, what kind of person are they? What kind of traits do they have? Write those down on a piece of paper or on your notes, whatever it is. Ideally somewhere that you actually revisit. And as you write them down, the next step is you actually want to take a radical step to move forwards in the direction of adopting those traits. So for example, if on that list, one of the things you have is that you operate with urgency, you move quickly rather than procrastinating. The radical step that you might take is you might think, okay, what's a project that I've been procrastinating on for time? Maybe you've been procrastinating applying for jobs. Maybe you've been procrastinating starting cold outreach for your business. Maybe you've been procrastinating going to the gym. I encourage you to take a radical step that your not current, because you've now reshaped yourself, the previous version of yourself would never have done. For example, let's say now, previously, you never would have even gone for a jog. Go for a jog. Today, immediately. The previous version of yourself would have dragged it and procrastinated it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is. So what you're going to do is you're going to go and take that step now. And you're going to do a longer run than you previously ever have done. Just to do it. Just to reshape your identity. This isn't to do every day. This is just to show yourself that you are different. For example, at a phase in my life where I was eating drastically unhealthy, I was eating insane levels of ice cream, sweets, all of that. As in, I would have a meal, and you know how they'll say, oh, should you eat dessert first, or should you just eat dessert after the... Huh? Before? After? Dessert was the meal. I was eating ice cream as the meal. I was eating sweets as the meal, and I realized that I needed to switch some shit up. I needed to work on being more healthy. That was a process. It was a process, honestly speaking. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But one step that I did take, because I was working on reshaping my identity, is I decided to do a fast. I was so addicted to food that I thought, what if I abstain from food and I only drink water? And I did a fast. I had done fasting in the past. I was used to doing intermittent fasting. I was already doing intermittent fasting anyway. So I was maybe eating within a 4 hour window, 4 to 8 hour window. But I thought, you know what, 24-hour fast is pretty simple. I've done 24-hour fast multiple times. What I haven't done is a 40-hour fast. 40 hours straight water. So I said, fuck it, I'm going to do that now. And I did it. And doing that it helped me realize and recognize that I was a new person. That I was no longer the old version of myself. Because the old version of myself would never have done that. But I did it. So it helped me to have that confirmation that something was different. Which then moves on to step number 3. So again, step number 1, write a list of traits. Sorry, step number 1 kind of, I guess, could have been 2 parts. But step number 1, identify what you want, identify the kind of person that you need to be in order to actually achieve those things. Write them down on a list. Step number 2, identify a radical action that you can take in order to prove to yourself that you're no longer your old version. Because this new action that you're taking shatters the reality of your previous self. Step number 3 is now the consistency piece. Decide on an action that you can do daily to practice this trait. And when I say practice, I don't mean like practice the trait. Maybe I could have worded that better, but I mean just put the trait in practice. So if it's discipline, something that you could do daily that is actually building your discipline, is actually implementing and showing yourself on a daily basis that you are disciplined. Or maybe it's multiple times a week, depending on the thing that you're working on. It's not necessarily every single thing that needs to be worked on every single day. But ideally, if it's something that could be worked on every single day, it's going to be a good idea because you have that daily reminder of who you actually are. But again, if for example it's working out, I wouldn't encourage you to go from working out not at all to working out every single day. That's a bit much, right? Start with, for example, 3 days a week, maybe 2 days a week, depending on how sedentary you actually are right now. But decide on an action, and this action is going to be a minimal viable action. The minimal amount that you're actually going to do on each day. So you don't want it to be something crazy. And by the way, I'm telling you this because I've done this mistake in the past. I made the minimal viable action too crazy. Right? I tried to do too much at once. I tried to say, you know what? Let's say, for example, I've never been gym, right? Which actually this wasn't the case for me. But just to give you an example. Let's say I've never been gym. I'll be like, cool. I'm going to go gym every single day, 2 times a day. Too much. Right? Instead, what you want to do is start with an action that is it's so simple that it's like, I can definitely do this. Let's say, for example, maybe again that you have to assess where you're at, right? And again, the reason you want to do this is you want to make the change sustainable. So you might say, okay, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, and I'm going to go there for at least 10 minutes. That might be your starting point. No shame. Just because you're seeing other people that are going there longer, don't worry about that. You're on your own journey and you're going to get to where you need to get to. But build up the consistency. Guess what? Once you get to the gym, the reality is the chances that you're going to go there and just stay there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes is pretty low. You're more than likely to stay there longer and do more because you're just going to be in the flow. But you have something that's a minimum to where if you really didn't feel like it that day, you will just go for 10 minutes. If you really didn't have time, you just go for 10 minutes. There's something that you're going to have no excuse for. And then step number 4 is to consistently apply that thing. Set yourself a time period of, for example, 30 days where I'm going to stick to this for 30 days. And stick to it for that period of time. And then after that, reassess. Think, okay, you know what? I can actually dial this up now, for example. Maybe you want to add something else that you want to focus on. And doesn't necessarily have to be 30 days. Again, these things are so case by case. It depends on where you're at and what the specific thing that you're trying to do is. It might be a 1 week thing. 1 week might be more than enough because it's just that kind of thing. All right. With that being said, you can again go ahead and check out the music. Yeah. Again, my music is inspiring. My music is with the intent to inspire and to spread positive energy out into the world. For the most part, there might be a couple of songs that are like just therapy sessions or stuff that maybe might not be for inspiration, but they're going to be ones that you can relate to, potentially. Like Doormat. I don't know if that's out yet, But if it's out, then that's a song that I'm thinking of, right? But anyways, with that being said, you guys have an amazing day. Yeah. Know that you are loved. I know that I'll catch you in the next video, I think. Depends when I post this video. Because if I post this video the day before April the 1st, which I'm not going to try and say it's the 30th or 31st, because I don't remember. 31st. What do you know about them tactics there? Listen, let me teach you something. Yeah? This is how you know if a month has 31 days or 30 days. Yeah? January, 31 days. Yeah? February, obviously it's an exception. It's like 28 days or whatever it is. And then March, 31 days. April, 30 days. May, 31 days. Yeah? June, 30 days. July, 31 days. Right? And you go back. August, 30 days, etc. Yeah? Yeah? You didn't. Yeah. That's an extra bonus sauce for you all that stayed to the end. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah? Have an incredible day. And what I was going to say is, if you're here one day before April 1st, I may not post tomorrow because I'm posting every day until April the 1st. And then we're going to see. But let me know if you want me to keep posting. Let me know. But anyways, peace out.